Hello everybody, my name is Putty and welcome back for another edition of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. This is the one night of the year that we go old school. Well, we actually do that quite a bit, and in fact this show isn't actually all that special, but it is old school rules. We are here in the Charlotte Garden, I think he tried to make me go to the Southeast, but I refused. I want to go to the Charlotte Garden. So, we're going to the Charlotte Garden, and we are here for old school rules. Tonight's main event of the evening, Ernest Youngman takes on probably his arch rival at this point, the man formerly known as the Architect, Dewie Archer. The two men fought last at Where It All Begins again, and Dewie Archer won that match, proving to the world that he was the technical master that he said he was. Can Ernest get revenge in tonight's main event of the evening? Ernest's continuation of his best in the World Series, proving to not just the Confederation of the Territories brass, but to everyone across the world that he is one of the greatest of all time. Actually, there's more to talk about tonight, because we have a steel cage loser leaves the territory match between Kamikaze and American Elemental, two men who have also been in a death-locked rivalry for the last couple of years. You know, when Kamikaze got signed, the first man he got to fight as a full-time employee of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling was American Elemental, and the two of them, with a chip on their shoulder and with much to prove, fought each other tooth and nail, aggressively, violently, vitriolically, and ever since then, every match they've escalated. They've gone to deeper and darker places, and actually, now that I think about it, I'm going to show you guys the bracket for the Ripcord Invitational, because I think I've actually made a booking mistake here tonight. Yep. No, that was good. That's fine. And that's fine. Okay, never mind. I didn't need to show you that. Enjoy the bracket. But yeah, no, every match since then they've escalated, and they've made things more and more violent. But both men have adapted and evolved as competitors every time as well. We've seen much more out of people like Kamikaze and American Elemental, who of course are still very, very young, very new professional wrestlers. Every time they're innovating, they're improving, but they bring the best out of each other. But sometimes it goes too far, and both men have been prone to fighting where it's not really appropriate, and it's time to end it. It's time for one of them to leave the territory, because this territory ain't big enough for the two of us. Also tonight, another years-long rivalry reignites as we have the Ring Generals, marvelous Marv Statler and deadly Dean Waldorf, taking on the World Tag Team Champions, the Dynamite Express, Sid Collier and Cameron Jones, in a Coastal Zone tag team match for the World Tag Team Championships. Coastal Zone tag team match are two singles matches between the members of the tag team, and if one tag team wins both singles matches, they win the match. But if it's still level after two matches, we head to a tag team match to finish off the matchup, and that is for the World Tag Team titles tonight. Yes, much more to come. Well, not actually that much more. I pretty much outlined the entire card. There's one match between Chris Caulfield and Alvin Serra, I believe, which is unbooked. But aside from that, pretty much gone through the entire card. Let's get in to old school rules. As you can see in a lot of angles tonight, we're going to start off with the cage match. It is a steel cage, no escaping. The two men have a violent, brutal, bloody war, and the loser will have to leave the territory, and this escalates once again. Just violent brawling between these two men. Dangerous stuff as American Elemental climbs to the top of the cage. This isn't an escape the cage match, by the way. It doesn't matter if you escape the cage or not. There's no door. If you escape the cage, then you're going to have to get back in, kid, because the match is still going. Or maybe I guess that starts a count out. That's probably how it would work. If you manage to escape the cage, you'd get counted out. But American Elemental climbs the top of the cage. Big moonsault off the top of the cage. He pulls that off about halfway through. You know, the escalation continues as Kamikaze thrusts American Elemental's head into the unforgiving steel. You know, there's blood in this match. There's a lot of blood and a lot of early brutality. You know, Kamikaze doesn't quite show his usual stripes. You know, he's usually the guy who do the ridiculous, over the top stunts. but he wasn't really feeling up to it tonight, so we just have some basic brawling, some basic grappling from Kamikaze, and American Elemental is left to do the death-defying stunts, the big stuff off the top of the cage, off halfway through the cage, just leaping crossbody from he climbs to halfway up the cage, leaping crossbody from up there, big drop kicks, big sunset flip powerbomb off the top, maybe even off the cage, maybe Kamikaze's maybe they're on the top rope and Kama's going for like a superplex or something, and Kama's like holding onto the cage to make sure he doesn't get superplexed, and then instead of superplexing him, maybe American Elemental just like power bombs him off the cage or something. And it's brutal. There is blood all over the mat. After this match, we have to like have a cleanup crew, but in the end, American Elemental defeats Kamikaze with an American Earth Breaker. Kamikaze's gone. No longer will he be able to interfere in the affairs of American Dream, American Elemental, and the All-American boy, Eric Lee. So maybe they're going to get back on track for their tag team title match. Or the tag team title charges. They haven't got a match yet. Kamikaze leaves the territory. Rip him. He's had a good run, and I hope to... I wish him the best of luck. So we move on to our next match of the evening. It is the Coastal Zone tag team match. Fall 1 goes to the Dynamite Express, the tag team champions. Sid Collier has an actual stand-up normal match with Marv Stadler. There are no tricks, there are no shenanigans, there's no tomfoolery. They just wrestle out there. Marv with those quick, energetic throws, those suplexes that he's known for, those big hits. At some point he just hits a big superplex off the top rope, and you can see that Marv Stadler has full control over this match. But Sid Collier, he's got that ground game. He's a grinder. He's a grinder. That's got some connotations. He'll grind out a match. He's a grappler. He's a dirty, down on the mat, gritty grappler, and he'll work a body part, and that's exactly what he does, focusing on those legs of Marv Stadler, trying to take the legs from under Marv Stadler, slow him down, make him stumble, open a weakness for that Texas cloverleaf that's put away quite a few people over the years, and even over this year when he's been out there defending the World Tag Team Championships across the territories. He's been using this maneuver, and it's turned into quite a deadly hold. And in the end, Marv Stadler has nowhere to go. He's middle of the ring, and he's forced to tap out to the brains behind the operation, the architect of the Dynamite Express, you might call him, Sid Collier, who continues to be an impressive singles grappler when he wants to be. So we move on to the second leg, as Cameron Jones is narrowly defeated by Dean Waldorf. Dean Waldorf actually shows a new side of his game tonight. Usually Dean's willing to grind out matches. He's willing to be that gritty grappler that we've seen here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. He'll get down there and he'll work a body part, and he will relentlessly work that body part all night long until finally his opponent exposes that weakness for that Waldorf salad toss. But tonight, Cameron Jones' energy just got the better of Dean Waldorf for 2 or 3 minutes, and Cameron Jones was hitting him with his shoulder block, with a leaping shoulder block of some sort, maybe a lariat, some drop kicks. Cameron Jones was that high action, energetic brawler that we're used to seeing. But Dean Waldorf, saw that opportunity. He saw maybe he's got to evolve and change into something he hasn't been before in order to survive matches like this. And indeed, he does start to roll with the punches a little bit. Starts to hit some suplexes, some throws. Maybe Marv Stadler's been teaching him a few of those higher pace grappling maneuvers. Goes hold for hold with Cameron Jones. And, he's not exactly brawling. He's not exactly getting on the top rope or anything. But when Cameron's trying to get that momentum going, Dean is able to keep up with Cameron Jones. Dean is able to keep up with the likes of Cameron Jones, able to de-engage the situation, you know what I mean? Disengage Cameron Jones' momentum. And he's able to kind of roll with the punches a little better than he used to. A very good adaptation for the aging and a very strong competitor that is deadly Dean Waldorf, as he picks up the victory over Cameron Jones. And we move into the final leg. Here we go. It's 1-on-1. Will the Ring Generals, the former World Tag Team Champions, be the first tag team to win the titles on two occasions, or will the Dynamite Express retain their World Tag Team titles? In a 60C, the Dynamite Express defeat the Ring Generals in 17 minutes and 20 seconds when Sid Collier defeats Dean Waldorf by submission with a Texas Cloverleaf. Dynamite Express make defense number 7 of their World Tag Team titles. Yeah, this is just a normal match you'd expect from these guys. The Dynamite Express trying to work down Marv Stadler. They got him in the corner. Sid Collier with that nasty grappling style, vicious stuff, quick tags, doing stuff behind the referee's back, traditional heel tag team wrestling from the Dynamite Express as they try to grind out Marv Stadler, trying to keep him away from Dean Waldorf, and eventually about maybe 14 minutes into the match, we get a big hot tag from the ring generals, and Dean Waldorf using that fast-paced stuff he showed he was capable of doing earlier with some big throws, some big suplexes, to Cameron Jones with a traditional hot tag style professional wrestling. But in the end, Sid Collier is able to maybe do something shady, maybe trip him from outside the ring, and the pace switches for the final time back to the Dynamite Express, and Sid Collier finally manages to defeat Dean Waldorf by submission with a Texas Cloverleaf. Good stuff from both tag teams as they re-engage their rivalry from last year. And then Chris Caulfield defeats Alvin Sierra. 7 minutes is too long. Too long for Chris Caulfield. Trying to experiment with how long is too long for him. Seems like 7 minutes is too long. As he defeats Alvin Serra by pinfall with a danger drop. Is he at least training him? I mean, not significantly. I mean, just because nothing appears here doesn't mean he's not getting better. It's just that it's not... the more, like, there's a certain barrier. Like, if they really improve in some area, it'll show up. But they might still be improving. Good stuff from these men as we move into the main event segment of the show. As Dewie Archer's in the interview area, and he gets on the microphone and he says, Ernest Youngman, tonight is a big night for both of us, don't you think? My entire career has been in the shadow of someone, whether it be Sam Keith or you. I've always been compared to my mentor or my rival. But things have changed, and now I am undoubtedly one of the greatest technical wrestlers in the territories today. I talk to people all across these fine territories, and they look at me and they know I'm a grappler. I'm a guy who can put you down. I'm a great wrestler. They didn't look at me that way 2 years ago. They looked at me as some kid. Some egotistical, cocky little kid who maybe one day will be good. He's got those holes that Sam Keith taught him, but right now, he can't put his money where his mouth is. Well, things have changed because the Architect is dead. And Dewie Archer is one of the best wrestlers in these territories, and I'm still the A-lister. I'm still the guy that everybody in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling pays for the ticket to see. And you know what, Ernest Youngman? I respect the hell out of you. I really do. I've seen you at your best, but I'm telling you, kid, you gotta quit while you're ahead. Because you're on that downward spiral. And I beat you last October, and tonight I'm gonna beat you again. Because quite frankly, I've got your number. And ever since I changed, ever since I realized that I am the greatest grappler this company has ever seen, I've had your number all along. And quite frankly, I don't know why we're even having this match. Because we already proved Dewie Archer beats Ernest Youngman. And that's not a prediction for tonight. That's the result from last October, and that's a spoiler for tonight. Because I'm going to beat you again. Because I'm better than you now, Ernest. Deal with it. And he makes his way to the ring, and Ernest Youngman heads to the interview area, and he gets on the microphone, and he looks at Sweet Tabitha, and he winks, and he says, tonight, Sweet Tabitha, you better keep an eye on that ring, because you're going to see the wrestling machine, the best there's ever been. You're going to see the assassin of the squared circle, because you're right. In a way, Dewie Archer, you're right. I was on a downward trajectory. Everyone is sometimes. You head downstream sometimes. You gotta reach a high point, and then there's gotta be the valleys. If there is no valley, there are no peak. And you're right. 2018 was a year of ups and downs for Ernest Youngman. That was the year where I was the heavyweight champion of the world. It was also the year where I lost the heavyweight championship of the world. It was also the year where I lost to you. But I reached a bottom point. I bottomed out around October when I lost to you, and ever since then, it's not been a downward trajectory, Architect, Dewie Archer. It's been an upward trajectory. See, I've gone across the territories again, just like I did last year, and I've seen the best the territories has to offer, and unlike last year, I've brought it to Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. I've beaten Davis Wayne Newton. I've beaten Hugh DeOsk. I've beaten some of the greatest names this territory has to offer. And I'm at the top of my game, and I'm learning. Every single night I go out there and I learn because I love professional wrestling. And tonight is no different. I love professional wrestling, and you are one of the greatest opponents I have ever had in my life. There's no doubt about that. I don't like you, Architect. I don't like you, Dewie Archer. I think you're stuck up, arrogant, and I think you disrespect the man who trained you. But I have to respect you, because you're right, you are one of the greatest grapplers this company has ever seen. There's no doubt about that. But to be the man, you gotta believe you're the man. And I'll be damned if I don't believe I am. So I respect you, and I am more than willing to admit that you are one of the greatest grapplers this company has ever seen. But in order to sustain myself, in order to keep moving forward, I gotta tell myself that I'm better. And I gotta prove to you that I'm better. So tonight, you may think you're gonna beat me. You may think it's a foregone conclusion, but what you fail to factor in is that I have to win tonight to prove I'm the man. And that's what I'm gonna do. And Ernest Youngman, does he prove he is the man in our main event of the evening? He does. In a bout that had superb wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Ernest Youngman defeated Dewie Archer by pinfall with a hit in a technical wrestling masterpiece. One of the greatest matches in MAW history. Ernest Youngman grapples with Dewie Archer. It is constant. It's like hate grapple fucking, as I like to call it. It's not that violent, I want to hurt you with my grappling kind of stuff, but it is this desire to be the best. They're both charismatic grapplers. They can both do it in this flashy, high-action style with winks to the crowd, and they do. They are grappling so quickly and so fast with so much skill and expertise. A crowd are lapping up every second of it because this match is high-paced from the get-go. First 3-4 minutes, they are going hold for hold for hold because they don't want to hurt their opponent. They don't even really at this point want to beat their opponent. They just want to show their opponent that they're the better grappler. They want to prove that they're the better grappler, and so they're going to do it in the flashiest way possible, the most visible way possible, and they're going to use every hold and every escape and every action in their arsenal to prove they're the best. And that goes on for so long, as they will not give in, not give an inch, not give that weakness, that weak point to their opponent, not a second of weakness between these two. Some of the greatest grapplers we've had in this company just keep grappling, keep moving from leg to arm to chokehold to headlock to a float behind, and now suddenly it's a fucking sharpshooter or a half Boston Crab which gets reversed into a crossface, and it's just back and forth. Crossface chicken wing reversed into a proton lock reversed. They just cannot for any period of time focus on a limb. So that's what this becomes. We got 10 minutes of really flashy, really, really quick grappling, and they start to realize that this match isn't going to end through their traditional limb target grapple style, because neither of them are going to give that inch. Neither of them are going to be able to impose themselves long enough to work down a limb. And they've seen the pace of this match. It's not going to go 60 minutes. It's not going to go a really long time, and one of them's finally going to see that weakness. It's going to be quick. And then they look at each other and they realize that their traditional flashy grappling style isn't going to fly here. And they just start throwing forearms, start throwing punches, throwing bombs. Every now and then you see like Dewie trying to lock in that proton lock, or Ernest trying to go for that crossface chicken wing. But gone is the flashy grappling. Gone is the charismatic hold-for-hold move, and now it's just a sit-down, stand-up brawl as these two are just throwing bombs at each other. Lefts, rights, kicks, punches into the corner, vicious elbow, top rope elbow from Dewie Archer, Ernest Youngman with a second rope lariat, big running lariat. These two just showing that they are two of the greatest athletes in the business today, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to prove they're a better man. And in the end, Ernest Youngman connects with the hit. Double underhook powerbomb, as I like to imagine it. Or overhook? No, I think it's underhook. Double underhook powerbomb. And Ernest Youngman picks up the victory over arch-rival Dewie Archer. What will this mean? Is he finally... we saw in the pre-match interview, he's back to his peak. He's back to prime. He knows he's the man. And tonight he was going to prove it, and he has. So where do we go from here? Well, next time, it is Fan Festival. Next time, I do have an announcement, as we are going to have a World's Heavyweight Championship match, but Ernest Youngman will not be a part of it because Confederation of the Territories Commissioner Sam Keith has announced that next month at Fan Festival, we are going to have the World's Heavyweight Champion John Greed take on two-time Ripcord Invitational Challenge winner George Wolf for the heavyweight championship of the world. Don't miss it. That's next time on Fan Festival. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. The game thinks it's the best we've ever ran. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Check out the rest of the series. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're feeling especially generous and are super pumped about the Ernest Youngman era, please go ahead and check out the link to my Patreon. It's in the description. If you want to check out my Twitter, I ramble on there, talk about episodes. Sometimes you can have creative input if you tweet me, and I have like something to be doing. And link to that is also in the description. Next time on FanFest, it is a World's Heavyweight Championship match between George Wolf and John Greed. Also on the show, Island Boy Apollo will be wrestling, and we are going to have a tag team contest of some sort. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys will join me then. Peace!